What is nothing? The dictionary says that a thing that does not exist. But this line violates its own perception because it says nothingness as a thing, which is something, and maybe it is something simpler and easier than nothing. Like we can describe it more simpler. So Sartre said that nothingness haunts beings. It was like a little sealed container of being floating on a vast sea of nothingness. Martin Heidegger said that anxiety reveals the nothing. It is a vague sense of not being at home in the whole world. Our existence issues from the abyss of nothingness and ends in the nothingness of death. So Heidegger said that nothing is neither an object nor anything that is at all. Nothingness would appear to be a dynamic thing, a sort of annihilating force. So Robert Nozick took this idea and said it is a vacuum force sucking things into non-existence or keeping them there. If this force acts upon itself, it sucks nothingness into nothingness, producing something or perhaps everything. In order for someone to grasp the meaning of a thing, then they have to see it. And the word nothing, if I see this nothing, then it is something. This is where the trouble comes in. But there is something, right? We all can see it. And we all can see the world. And now, so let's focus on that. Why wasting time on somewhat which is a meaningless question? So there is complexity, particularity, and finitude about the universe that cries out for explanation. After 1915, when Einstein put the theory of general relativity, the actual cosmology started, and it further progressed after Edwin Hubble discovered that the galaxies are moving farther away from us. So what's in cosmology? It is the understanding of nature of space and time. And by nature, we would say what is there in space and time. There is matter. Then what is matter? What is it made of? Is the question. Well, it is made of protons, neutrons and electrons, and we can also further divide them into quarks and leptons and bosons. Well, what are these? These are certain kinds of excitations of fields. So the basic thing that exists are fields. So these are the stuff that occupies space and time. But what's more out there? Well, there is no more stuff, but there are laws that exist which governs the universe, which evolved and now develop and describe the pattern and regularities in the universe. From a physical perspective, we know that our place in the universe has become smaller and smaller. It all started with Copernicus, who taught us that we are not at the center of the solar system. Then we discovered in the Milky Way galaxy that there are billions of stars like our own sun. We further found that there are about 2 trillion galaxies of that kind in the universe. And now we are talking of the multiverses, and many of our entire universe is just a one member of a huge number of almost infinite universes. So from a physical perspective, our place has diminished in this vastness. But at the same time, what has happened is that it all happened because of human discoveries. When Copernicus found that we are not at the center, it was a human discovery. Then Halo Shapley discovered that we are not at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. Then Hubble discovered other galaxies. These all are human discoveries. In other words, as our universe has expanded, it expanded just as fast as our intellectual horizons have expanded. So, in that sense, we actually play a center role in finding the truth. And a possibility is that if those infinite universes exists, then they will have the different kinds of combinations of laws of physics, any laws possible. And we find ourselves in one of those universes where the laws of physics allowed for our existence. There is one fact that I feel diminished by these facts, but I also feel enlarged by the awareness of it. So this is all about philosophy of cosmology. The universe began with a big bang, and many scientists believe that time started with the big bang. For example, if a collapse of a skyscraper is something that is observed to happen from time to time, and when it does, we need an explanation for it because it occurred against an empirical record of that skyscraper not collapsing. These non-occurrences are so common that we warranted in taking them to be natural. But when it comes to the universe, we have never observed its non-existence. No, we have actually. The Big Bang is the answer. The universe came into being only about 14 billion years ago. If the universe had a finite past, then physics does not allow us to extrapolate back and say before this singularity of the Big Bang there was nothingness. The lesson of the Big Bang model is just that before the initial state there was no time. So coming into existence out of nothingness seems nonsensical because it implies a process taking in time. If the Big Bang theory allowed us to the moments before the Big Bang, then we would ask what was going on at that time. But it doesn't. There is no before, so there is no time before that. It's like the universe came out of nirvana. Even though the universe is finite in age, it has always existed. If by always, I mean that at all instants of time. One of the greatest lessons of the history of science is that reality always turns out to be more encompassing than anyone imagined. There is an inflation theory of the beginning of the universe. So, in this theory, the universe suddenly popped out into existence some 14 billion years ago, and it bubbled out of space and time of a pre-existing universe. Instead of being all of physical reality, it is a part of ever-producing multiverse. Each of these bubble universes had a beginning. Within this multiverse in time, the entire self-replicating assembly may be infinitely old. With an eternal world, there is no creation moment. There is no role for a first cause. There is no initial condition. And all these are theories which have not been proven because we don't have anything to test them out. But we know that there is something, and this something took 14 billion years to be us. Then what should we do about that, right? Like Jordan Peterson says that if you are here in this world, then you should be a monster and you should learn how to control it. And when there is nothing to start with, then the whole show of reality can be generated out of an empty set, out of nothing. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I hope you liked it. I'll see you in the next episode.